What's up, everyone? Welcome to Playing in the Stars. We got Vet Cozy Gaming now.
Vet Gaming, Vet Cozy Gaming, it's basically one and the same. I have two channels now. My primary has been fully rebranded to Vet's Cozy Gaming. I think that's what I have it. And then I have the other one which covers is primarily Ubisoft titles. I know Dorgon, I'm sorry. I know you'll watch this later. I know how you love Ubisoft games. But it primarily covers that with the partnership with them, and then it'll have other things in there as well. But that one is just that one stays true to the vet gaming that everyone knows and loves with the rage of Hall and the slaughtering of the innocent and all that fun stuff. You know, the usual stuff I do.
Awesome. So yeah, we got Vet and myself tonight. Brian was coming, but he's got other stuff that came up tonight, so he won't be able to join. So it'll be the two of us for tonight. So it's been a while. What's up, man?
Yeah, not much. Well, I got the move done. Let's see. So, as everyone knew, I stopped streaming primarily because I was moving from Minnesota to Virginia. I got that done. Then once we got out here, we unloaded everything in like literally a day. Um, then we dropped truck off, came back, stayed here for a while, tried to start unpacking, then left the next week to go to Minnesota or to Iowa, back out to the Midwest to Iowa to stay with my daughter and the grandchild, and then stayed there for a week, then decided to come to said, let's drive again. And we drove back out to Virginia. And now I'm done moving. I've got a new desk. I've got a street room, as you guys can see with this the bare wall. I have to put everything up.
Ooh.
So I still have to decorate the walls with all my memorabilia. And then while I was out in Iowa, I had an iPhone 14 Pro Max, as I shared on Twitter and Discord. Then I said, well, I don't like this. One, it also had issues. So I decided, let's do the smart thing, and we'll trade it in. And we got one of these bad boys. It was a lovely Samsung Galaxy that does this. It's, well, okay, let's not show Alexa. But then it just magically opens and it turns into this
Ooh.
bad boy. And then it's wonderful because it has this really cool thing that does like PlayStation remote play. And it will, I mean, if I signed in, I could just have this giant 7.2-inch screen for PlayStation. The only thing I don't like, and it's not with the phone, it's with PlayStation, is that the PS Remote Play app will only let me connect at 720. I can't figure out how to get it up to the 1080 or anything higher, even though I have a PS5 and it says that I can. But I have a third party app called PS Play that will essentially let me do that.
Yep.
I don't,
So
and it's weird that that PlayStation will not let you do that, but the third party app, and I get third party apps have, other ways of doing that stuff, but it's so dumb. I think it's dumb.
it's Sony has been keeping it on a down low for remote play. It's yeah, I would prefer if they went all in on opening everything to everyone, but it feels like they've been keeping it more subtle and they want to
Yeah,
roll it out like the PlayStation Q that's coming later this year, which is
I,
confirmed to be 1080p 60. So that is kind of the Sony way that they try to limit stuff to their hardware.
yeah. The only disappointing thing with that is that even with that thing, I'm disappointed that it's only 1080p
For
because to me, I
for
mean,
remote
for
play,
the well, I would love them to say, hey, guess what? Surprise! You can use the handheld device and do your gaming at 1440.
I
But I
don't think
also
the
know
handle needs to go above 14 above 1080p
1080.
though.
Well, as long as it's 60, I'm okay with that though,
Yeah, 60
because
is the big important point.
that essentially puts it on par with what the Switch, right? Because the Switch docked is obviously can go up to 4K, but handheld,
Uh
the Switch is that 720 still or is it 1080? I don't
I
remember now.
think the screen resolution I'm not 100% sure, but most games anyway don't go above 720p on the
Yeah,
Switch.
for at least for Nintendo, and I'm not going to compare the what is it, the Q, right? Q Lite, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Um,
Project Q or
I
whatever.
yeah, I wouldn't, and I know it's going to get compared. Well, we're going to see people compared to the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally and whatever, but I'm like, you can't really compare those two with
the
this because this is a console
it's
attachment. To me, it reminds me of the the Wii U, the handheld part for the Wii U. Well,
it's
in a sense.
it's a streaming device. There's a lot of debates going on around this, and people are like, "Oh no, it's not for cloud gaming." They say it's specifically for remote play. They're saying right now it's for remote play because that's what they can advertise as for services that are currently out in the open that you can use that will
Yeah,
be usable on the device.
yeah.
That's what they
Oh,
can specify. But for cloud gaming, now a bunch of people are saying, "Oh, it'll be cloud gaming through the console." I believe it will 100% allow you to use cloud gaming natively on the device. That you won't need a PS5 to use cloud gaming. But it's just at the moment that service is not live, so they cannot advertise it. So at the moment, it's advertised as a PS5 remote play device, but it is
right.
a streaming device. So it'll stream your PS5 in remote play, but I do believe that the plan is to have it also available for cloud gaming
I want to know
directly
what the
connected.
operating system. I want to know what the operating system. Like the tech nerd in me wants more of the details. Like I want to know the operating system. I want to know all of that. The really deep inside the guts of it.
My
But
gut
primarily the
feeling
operating
is
system.
telling me that it's going to be Linux based like the PlayStation OS because
Right.
like the PS5 OS is Linux based. So
Yeah.
my guess is they're gonna making a custom based Linux OS that's made for streaming for that device.
Would make sense. It would be more, and it would be cost effective that way because you're
Yeah,
not. Because if you think about it, like anything that uses like anything else, Android, Windows, or whatever, then you're adding the most of the reason they're also that high, price wise are high for those devices, licensing.
yeah,
Costs money to pay for a license to get Windows or even Android because Google's got to get a cut of that. But when you're using Linux, you don't really have to worry about that because of the beauty of open source, and then you
exactly.
can custom tailor it to however you want it to look like, and
Yeah,
just put a shiny UI, a shiny PlayStation UI on it, which is like PS5 has.
that's what Sony's been doing forever. The PS3 was used by universities to simulate supercomputers because it
Think
was
Apple
a
would be,
very
and
powerful.
Sony would be
Huh?
able to do something. I said you'd think Apple and Sony would be able to do something. They're both Linux, Unix based operating systems.
Mm-hmm. So the PS3 it was very powerful. It was Unix based. With its custom firmware, they carried on with a PS4 and a PS5. So it's all their own firmwares that's
I had a
fully
PS3
optimized for
with
gaming.
I had PS3 with Linux, an actual because I remember that was the first one when I started tinkering with operating systems on consoles. I used to do it all the time on PCs, but on consoles, the PlayStation was the easiest to do that with
Well,
because
PlayStation would provide you actually with the access to install
oh yeah,
Linux.
it literally gave you an option in the settings. Do you want to install Linux on this?
They pulled it at a certain point. Like if you have a PS3 and you want to do it right now, you have to go through unofficial methods because they pulled
Yeah.
the app that allowed you to install Linux, but it used to officially be supported.
Go back up.
They
Yeah. Oh
pulled it,
yeah,
I
it's
think, because
super.
while it was still active, I think they had to maintain it and all, and they wanted to move away from that, not having to monitor people using the PS3 with Linux. So I think that's why they pulled the support. So they pulled the official app to do it. But there
Yeah.
used to be official support if you wanted to install Linux on a PS3, which yeah I think kind of rocks. But now
Yeah,
for the
I mean,
to come back to the
oh, go ahead.
original subject for the PlayStation Q, I think they're gonna use a Linux-based firmware for that, and it will likely have very basic software, but don't expect an Android device.
I
It's not
I
designed
don't
for
want
that.
that. That's no, and that's a good thing. I don't want it to. That would make it buggy. Like that's the one benefit. Like the Steam Deck, because you're technically using a Linux-based operating system. That's why there aren't as many bugs as if you put Windows on it. I get that they give you the ability to install Windows. They provide the drivers and all that, but why do you want a buggy operating system when you can have one that's essentially You're not gonna have to worry about bugs. If it's connected to the internet, you don't really have to worry about someone hacking into the device or viruses, things like the things that we don't think about, but we that are still out there with good old Windows and
You can strip
sometimes Mac.
you can strip away pretty much everything, keep only what's essential.
Yeah, and that will make it snappy and super faster than like the because the raw any of these that run Windows or Android, the PlayStation's device is going to run rings around it because of the type of operating system it's going to use. If it uses
Mhm.
Linux, it's going to run 10 times faster, and that's just the way it is with Linux versus any of the other operating systems.
Because I've been using remote play with my cell phone. It works, but usually like I connect and it takes a while until like I can feel a bit of input latency at the beginning and it takes a while to settle and then eventually it's snappy, it works well. But there's still like once in a while there's a bit of delay and it's because the phone's doing other stuff. You're putting the app there, it's doing the streaming, but it's I'm guessing there might be a way of doing it, but you can't tell a phone, okay, that's a priority you're doing right now and don't handle anything else. While the G Cloud, for example, from Logitech, that's one of the other devices I find interesting. What
Yeah,
I've been told, like Ashes tried it and told me like what he thought about it. When you're actually streaming whatever platform, whether it's GeForce Now, PlayStation Remote Player, or going to with XCloud, it actually turns on a gaming mode. So you still have everything from my Android,
nice.
but it turns on a gaming mode, and everything else is kind of frozen on the device, and only the one gaming thing you're doing is prioritized. So it drops like latency like crazy. And when they
Yeah,
advertise the PlayStation Q, that's one of the things they mentioned is that even though it's through Wi-Fi, it's using remote play, that it's got great resolution, great fidelity, and there's like no latency at all. That it's really snappy. So that's why I'm kind of intrigued by it, and I think I might be leaning toward that device. By the way, what's up, Spectrum? Good to see you in the chat.
what's going on, Spectrum? I know I was watching. So I was watching this morning. Or this morning. I don't know. Everything runs the same nowadays. I don't know what's going on half the time. But I was watching Rudix and Doragon's PlayStation news podcast thing that they're doing, and I gotta say, damn it, Doragon, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of jealous because he said that he has the PSVR too, and
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, what the? God. Told the wife, I was like, can I get? No, we just moved. Oh, fine. Move, can't have anything I want. Stuff, but no, I got enough stuff right now. So I just want Spider-Man. That's really all I want. Damn it. I'm
Spider-Man
not
2?
gonna lie. I want Spider-Man 2, and I'm not gonna lie that I do want that Star Wars game from Ubisoft. As much as I'm not promoting. I'm not out here promoting Ubisoft, even though I'm a Ubisoft partner. But I will say that open world Star Wars game I'm down with because it's not from what I watched on the Connect. It's not like what I rage quit back in the days of Stadia when I played a Star Wars game, and I've never played one since because of that. Not because of Stadia, but because I could not get past that stupid puzzle, and that has forever ruined me. So, um,
I'm
but
gonna
yeah,
put on
no, I
footage. Hold on. I'm just gonna readjust those.
what
But
happened?
that game, seriously, like I'm so hyped for it. I'm just gonna get our cameras
Which one?
closer.
The Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm gonna put some
Oh
footage.
yeah, that I kind of the Avatar game too is another one that I'm interested in, but Star Wars I'm more yes Outlaws, that's the one. Maker got the Spider-Man 2 collector. God damn you, Maker. You sneaky SOB.
I'm gonna share my screen so
I
you.
was watching Maker earlier today. I don't think he responded to my messages, but I was watching him play Nintendo the Zelda game.
Hey, what's up, Maker Chaos? Sorry, I was adjusting some stuff. Just saw your
Dude, this
message.
I want that pet. I would love to have one of those in real life.
You got the Spider-Man 2 Collector's Edition. Couldn't resist the Venom statue. It looks amazing. So just gonna put that
Spooky
on with a bit of
bastard.
volume. But Star Wars Outlaws, seriously, like I'm super hyped for that game. It looks
Yeah,
phenomenal.
it does. I'm stoked for this one.
They said Outlaws was open world, but I don't know how many worlds there will be. There's gonna be multiple planets for sure. My guess, from my experience with multiple Star Wars games, and kind of getting a feeling from Ubisoft, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up with anywhere between 8 and 12 planets. I don't think
That'd
it'll
be
be something crazy around 50 planets, but there should be
that.
enough variety with small worlds on it. It's all gonna.
I
That's the thing. It's all gonna be handcrafted. Won't be procedurally generated.
I mean,
Uh,
think about what they did with games like with Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, with the open world style of that, and
exactly.
Valhalla and Origins. And then you put Star Wars, like, I cannot freaking wait. And like I said, it's not like I'm trying to promote Ubisoft, even though I am, but like, if they could do this, I want them now. I want them to do a Star Trek open world game.
Hmm.
Mostly because
So
I like Star Trek before over Star Wars, but I'll still play this. But that game looked phenomenal, and so did Avatar. And I think Avatar is another open world game, and I know everybody's like, "Yay, Assassin's Creed Mirage," but I don't know. I don't know. That's the old style. That's not me. I like the exploration and the open worldness that I grew in Odyssey, even though that's not the true Assassin's Creed. But I want like I'm gonna play this on GFN, but I will guarantee you that I won't get it for PS5 only because I know it will look gorgeous. Because I told my wife I'm getting a new TV, so that's my birthday present to myself. Either a 4K or an 8K. Roger, how's it going? Not familiar with the
hey,
name,
what's
but
up, Roger? Good to see you. So yeah, makers. I'm guessing one main world and some small areas and different planets. If you look at like Ved was saying earlier with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, that is a pretty expensive world, and like the map is very sizable, and that was done back on the PS4. They can make some pretty big maps in there,
well, and
and
it's not like they can't do a DLC. Look at and go to Odyssey. The Atlantis DLC
mm-hmm.
and the one when you go to the underworld. Those were two DLCs, but they're massive maps essentially. They were like the whole. It was like a whole game within a game. So it's
So
not like they can't do that stuff.
my guess, if I was to estimate what they might be able to do, which would be reasonable, I'll probably be like 3, 4 main planets that are pretty sizable, and maybe not like a map as big as Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Far from that, but you can still create like a planet with several areas around where you can quest and some smaller world, but you could still create like 3, 4 large planets with large cities on them, and then create 7 or 8 additional planets, or even 10 additional planets that are smaller, a bit more modest vegetation.
Yeah,
And I don't think it would be much of a problem for them to create something on that scale, especially now that more and more we're talking about digital titles that they don't have to put everything on one disc. Like, yeah, we're talking about huge save files, but that's pretty common now.
yeah,
And also, uh, the looking for the word, not encrypting, but the basically they're able to shrink the size with the encoding of the files, so that like the Kraken encoder on the PS5, and I know that Xbox has something similar to Tempest, I believe that is called, uh,
yeah.
just to shrink all the file size so that it's not taking as much space. It works really well now, so they can make those games pretty big and still be reasonable on the file size. So my guess
I mean,
is it's gonna be
I'm excited.
massive.
I'm excited for it nonetheless. What gives me faith for this is one, it's not EA, and Ubisoft knows how to do really good storytelling
Yeah.
games that are, when you do the open world that I like, and you do this, you want a good story, but still be able to do whatever you want. Even if the side missions and stuff, I don't really care. Like, I'm sure it's probably going to get negative, there'll be people that'll knock it, and I'll be one of those that'll be like, I don't really care because y'all said people say the same thing about the Odyssey and some of these other ones, and I love those games. But I watched this and I want that pet, damn it. But I'm really looking forward to this. So ever since I heard that they were doing this, I wanted something to see, and this was enough to get me excited for a Star Wars game again.
They got good stuff going in there. Like, if you look at the playstyle, what they've like put together in the trailer, what we can see, feels like the
Yeah,
gunplay is similar to like Red Dead Redemption, which is considering that's a
yeah,
you're basically playing a smuggler slash like a scoundrel from
yeah,
the Star Wars universe, so that works really well with
yeah.
it,
It's
like
it's kind
gunslinger.
of I know and it's an interesting take on Star Wars because when you think of that, you're always it's Jedi, versus the
Oh,
dark side, all of that, or
I hope that they don't even mention Jedi's at all in the game. I
oh
love
that
Star
would
Wars, but that's a like it's been done before, but not really well, and they always try to tend to bring it back to the Jedi's. But
if they don't this like this, I mean, like you get a big ass wanted thing, like if they can do it right, where it does, I mean, you might have Jedi chasing you or something, but not twist the story into
Council
Jedi versus the
Nerfers.
dark side.
That
Yeah,
right here is impressive. Okay, you're going in the ship. Yeah, you saw there was a workshop, so you can improve your
yeah,
gear, and it's not in and in the back. So it's this, like if you play Jedi Fallen Order, the workshop is in the back. It's just for the aesthetic. This they've put it central. It seems essential. Like you'll be able to upgrade stuff on the character, but you're running around. You're running in a ship. You have access to your stuff in the ship, but she's running away, going to the cockpit, activating it. Just a small cutscene for starting up the ship, going in the air. Are you flying? You see like the HUD, like you already have control over your ship,
yeah.
going into
Like I mean
space,
that
and in a few seconds she'll already be in the dogfight. That is hell of impressive. No loading
yeah.
screen, nothing. Like just a bit of a. It's loading in the
it,
back while you're flying, like you're taking
Imagine
off.
once the like if this can take advantage of the features the PS5 has,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Well, it's gonna be
then
multi-platform, so they're gonna have to be sure that it runs on everything. So I doubt that they'll make features exclusive for the PS5 or
well, no. I'm just saying, just the ability to utilize the hardware that's in the PS5, not
yeah, like the
it's
controller,
it's
the haptics, and all.
yeah, the
Yeah,
haptics, just the speed, all that stuff with the load times and things like that. And I'm not worried about like special exclusive to this thing or exclusive to that. I don't see Ubisoft doing that. I think that's more other developers. Ubisoft is known for making, their games are everywhere. So they tend to keep that stuff, the same when they do stuff. But this I'm like super freaking excited for this.
yeah. Roger says love the '80s style and Outlaws. Yeah, it's they've gone back to the original look of Star Wars, like what made it
Oh,
magical. Like this, like yeah, it looks like some modern stuff, but like the costumes at all, it's traditional to the beginning of Star Wars.
yeah.
It's looking great. It's really like for a while I've been hearing about this game. Like, oh, Ubisoft's got a Star Wars open world game in production right now. It's gonna be hyped. It's gonna be hyped. The whole time was like, yeah, we'll see. They showed the CGI trailer during the Xbox showcase. We're like, okay, got me interested. I saw the gameplay and I was immediately sold. Like,
Yeah. What was your thoughts on the Avatar game that they're working on also? Because they got a lot of stuff they're working on, which is amazing. That's one of the things that I was excited to be partnered with them. But especially with this, I know I'm not. We know what to expect with an Assassin's Creed game. But what were your thoughts with the? Oh, see, there's
what's up, Ron?
the men in white suit
And the
coming
troopers.
next year. Yeah. So what was your thoughts on the Avatar game? Because I thought that one was pretty fancy as well. Between that and I know I was watching with Ghost Stretch for a bit when we were watching the event. He's hyped for the new racing game that they got coming out. the sequel to the Crew 2 or whatever it is, because it
So
adds more stuff. But man, there's been so much stuff going on lately. I haven't had a chance to talk to no one. My wife only lets me talk so much about gaming before she gets annoyed.
oh yeah. But Avatar looks great. I'm not yet sold on it, but it does look like Pandora like looks amazing on it.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean it did look. I need to see more. I need to be able to check out the gameplay. Like
mhm.
that concerns me, but it definitely the visuals, man, were phenomenal
Yeah,
in certain spots. Kind of gave me some of the you saw that scene where they were running across the fields. It almost reminded me of like Horizon
yeah.
in a sense. It kind of gave that Horizon Forbidden West Zero Dawn vibe.
I get a sort of feel of Far Cry from the game for the gameplay how it'll play.
Yeah,
So I'm not 100% sold on that game yet, even though visually it looks amazing. But
but if it,
it could definitely be a hit.
yeah, I think it will. And if it's not, it's going to be it's not going to do well. If it doesn't do, it doesn't. But I usually don't. Ubisoft doesn't usually do too bad with the games. I mean, there are some that have been not the greatest. The racing one, the upgraded, the next one in line from the Crew 2. I don't remember the name of that one, but that one, I mean, I'd play that just because it's racing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but there were a few. There were a few. I was just curious on your thoughts. I know I watched bits and pieces of the Xbox showcase. There wasn't really anything that wowed me on that. Um, but I've been trying to keep up with all the other news with PlayStation and the just between hardware stuff, the software stuff, games coming out that I can't keep up with because I have kids, so that means that I'm not allowed to just spend all of my money on video games like I used to. I don't have something like pay my
Mm-hmm.
bills for me so I can spend all my money on video games. I'm still young.
So
Damn it.
talking about all the showcase because the last episode we did actually was the PlayStation showcase, and since we haven't been able to get the crew back together, and even
See
tonight
right
it's just
there,
the two of
those.
us. Hmm?
Yeah. No, I was
Yeah.
just saying that one scene with the blue sky and the clouds, like it just the visuals, and that's a Ubisoft thing.
Oh, it
They
looks
just
great.
know how to make games look gorgeous.
It does look visually very appealing. It's the gameplay I want to know how it'll
Yeah,
feel like if it'll be engaging. But
yeah,
definitely, there's
and
a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
potential for that game.
I think there is too. It'll be interesting because you would think Assassin's Creed would be the big ones, but I feel like this and the Star Wars game are going to be the bigger games for them than the Assassin's Creed.
This,
Assassin's Creed is a niche. You've got that niche that you've got those people that just love Assassin's Creed games and
mhm.
some that play them. But I feel Star Wars and Avatar are just Avatar's right now is the big thing, and Star Wars. You don't have to really say anything else, but Star Wars. So I think those two will be big for them if they're done the right way. And I think the Star Wars, well, this I don't know yet.
Star Wars is definitely one they need to nail because if it's good, it's going to be extremely profitable for them. This, it's yes, if they do well with that game, it'll be really good. It's the kind of game that if they do well, it could manage to be as popular as the movie series and do a very big partnership, depending on how it goes. But Star
Um,
Wars, there is such a big public backing it that if they manage,
yeah.
because people have always wanted great Star Wars games, and it's always been hit and miss. Uh, Knights of
Well,
the Old
in EA,
Republic. Hmm?
yeah, that was. I was no. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'll
Well,
say mine afterwards.
Knights of the Old Republic is a classic in the Star Wars games. Back then, it was a big hit. It was definitely a great game, but that's a while ago. That game is showing its age. And Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMORPG, was a lot of fun. But again, it's an aging MMORPG. MMOs have evolved in a different direction, and
Yeah.
the Star Wars MMO is kind of stuck in its roots. It's not doing much into evolving the gameplay and all. So we need to see better Star Wars games evolving in different direction. Jedi, Fallen Order, and Survivor definitely did it well. So we got a good Jedi game on there. And there's also the Star Wars Squadron. That's a really good pilot game where you pilot your X-wing and
They
Tie
need
fighters
more.
and
They
all.
need more of those, to be honest. Those are the ones that I love the the combat style Star Wars games. But man, I want more. You know,
Your
more,
sound's cutting out.
oh, it could be my
Okay,
internet.
now you're back.
Okay. But no, I want more. I want more of those games where it's just the flying or the racing. We had that way back in the day too.
Hmm. But
I miss those.
Star Wars Outlaws, I do believe is headed in the right direction.
Yeah.
Building on like Ubisoft is really good at doing massive world games that just on a large scale. So bringing like the scoundrels and that, and do a gigantic game that you're going from planet to planet, doing runs, doing missions. That's the type of game that I feel is missing from the Star Wars portfolio. That some have tried their hands at it, but not really succeeded. And if Ubisoft nails it, they're putting their foot in the door for a very big franchise they could be building on. So
Yeah.
definitely, Ubisoft has something in their hands there that they need to play the cards right. So that's why when they started working on the project, apparently they got people from every studios to gather together. Like even though they knew, okay, Massive's gonna be the studio handling it, they had a great success with Division Two, and like it's great quality every time they publish a game. So even though they knew that Massive would be the ones doing the game, apparently they did a gather around of all the studios to bring in their ideas, see if they could make contribution, like do little parts of the game to make it as good as it can be, because there's a lot of
Yeah.
writing on this. That could make or break Ubisoft almost, because it's going to be a big budget game and it has the potential of reeling in a ton of players. So no,
Yeah.
there's a lot of writing on that game, in my opinion, a lot more than people perceive.
Yeah.
So just missed here. Ron saying Phantom Blade is my personal anticipated game. That game was a big surprise during the PlayStation show. A lot of people, like, it came out of nowhere, and a lot of people were impressed by the footage because that was in-game footage what they showed, and it looked really good. Roger says Avatar looks great, but I am hesitant to the first-person view. Yeah, I kind of get a feel it's going to be similar to Far Cry, where it's going to be good,
Well,
but
and you can kind of tell that anyways when you're watching the gameplay, the game footage, because you could tell that it was showing cinematic stuff, but then it would also bring in the gameplay footage. And I could tell even watching while everyone else here was watching the gameplay footage, it immediately went to that first person. It was just like watching something on Far Cry 6. Same way. So I'm leery with that because I know Far Cry 6 1 didn't do that great, and I'm not a big fan of it anyways. So it'll be interesting,
mm-hmm.
unfortunately. But I know there's been some PlayStation news as well.
Yes, some big ones. So that is actually one of the game that was revealed during the PlayStation showcase that was just mentioned ago a moment ago by Ron, Phantom Blade Zero. So that is one of the games that captivated a lot of people's attention. So seems to be Souls like action RPG that's in production. That's going to be on the PlayStation 5. Looks phenomenal, and like Digital Foundry analyzed it, and like frame rate is not 100% stable, but it's pretty like this pace is pretty good, and that told him like, okay, this is actual gameplay footage, it's not just CGI that they put together for the show. So
Yeah.
definitely something to keep an eye on, and since it's gameplay, I'm not sure if it mentions a release date at the end, but I think it won't be too long before the game comes out. But it's like the action is looking phenomenal, like super fast action, and it, it's looking great. It's
Yeah.
feel like it might see similar success to like what's the name of that again? Again, Blood.
Yeah,
The
I
Souls
can't
like
think.
game, that super popular with a gothic look. I'm forgetting the name right now for some reason. Hope we would get Silent Hill remake news or something on Little Devil Inside. Oh, that would have been great. But
Well, I know there's what is this game? What is this footage we're watching?
that's Phantom Blade Zero.
Oh, oh, right. I watched that. That one.
It's
Yeah, it
gonna get
surprised me
a
because
hmm?
it surprised me because it's something I don't know if I would play like enjoy it because I feel like I just get irritated because I would keep dying, but I would still play it because
It's
I mean, it's hack and slash. You're killing people and you got a sword. I love that, and there's
it's
blood,
less
and
my type of game personally, and I don't think you would enjoy it either. But it's gonna have a cult following. Hey, Mostly
oh, I'm
Martinez,
sure.
good to see you, man.
Hey, Martinez, what's going on, buddy? I'm sure it would too, um, but I would at least try it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know out. I'm surprised Audi didn't pop in here. He did to ask me if I was going to play Starfield
We're gonna
earlier
see.
today when I was. Well, oh, real quick, since I brought up the word Starfield, I do want to say congratulations on your some of your tweets that got advertised on
Yeah,
some other network. I had to use break out the translator so I knew what the hell I was reading. But congratulations nonetheless.
yeah. Apparently, because I was touting people to see like we know Xbox has been doing a ton of stuff to try to sway regulators with the ABK thing that was going on, like the cloud gaming deals that they've done. It's like, how far will they go? Because Starfield and Elder Scrolls, the next Elder Scrolls game being exclusive to Xbox. Starfield is confirmed. Elder Scrolls still kind of iffy. They teased it would be, but not yet confirmed. What was brought up during the investigation? Not well
Yeah,
during the hearings that those games originally were supposed to go to PlayStation, but because it wasn't inked, that when the European Commission asked them originally when they were acquiring Bethesda, they asked them like the future games that Bethesda is making, are you acquiring that publisher to make the games exclusive to Xbox, or will the games remain on other platforms? So that was one of the questions that was asked, and the answer that it wouldn't make sense to make those games exclusive to Xbox because of the revenue they would be losing. And the moment it
yeah,
got approved, they turned around and said, "Oh, it's going to go exclusive." So the regulators were kind of like sour about that part, and that might have
well,
swayed a bit the decision. So seeing everything that was being done for cloud gaming and all, I was asking, like I was doing a poll over on Twitter. It's like, you think that they're actually going to announce it on PS5 or not? But not asking, like, I don't care
man,
at this point.
you
People took
done
on that like crazy.
man, you pissed off like all of Twitter. I thought some of my memes when I was cracking jokes and just having some fun with Xbox was something, but you set a firestorm
Oh, people
on
were
all fronts.
twisting my words,
Oh,
and I was
I
showing
gotta say,
like
it was literally fantastic.
people were saying I said this, I said that, and I literally took my tweets and retweeted. Look, this is what I said. That's what I meant, and people just like stop answering. It's like
Yeah, they didn't care. They just, I mean, it
they've
was
put words in
you
my
were getting
mouth
you
that I
were
never
getting
said.
featured in major publications, like, and not only publications, but in big time
Yahoo
podcasts.
Finance.
Dude, yeah, you got pulled in, you got featured on the Yahoo Finance, but there were big time, big, I mean, like big fucking YouTube channels, podcasters that were showing your stuff. Like I came across a few, and I was like, damn.
I was just poking at things like just for
Hey,
fun,
but
like
you know
seeing
what? Negative publicity is still publicity, whatever, either way. So,
hey, people were
but
saying I was desperate and all. It's like no, just looking at public's interest.
who needs? I
Meanwhile,
mean, who
those
needs?
same people were literally trashing Square Enix for making Final Fantasy 16 a PlayStation exclusive.
I don't. I mean, Starfield is. You know what? For that game in particular, I don't. It's not even needed. PlayStation doesn't need
No, it
Starfield.
doesn't. PlayStation
It doesn't.
100% doesn't need it.
PlayStation, they won the eighth generation with the PS4. We all know they're winning the ninth generation of consoles with the PS5. If you look at the last, I mean, I had an article that I pulled up and it said in the last 10 years or so, PlayStation has had Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us plus plus Part Two, God of War and God of War Ragnarok, Bloodborne, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Forbidden West, Gran Turismo 6, Gran Turismo 7, Spider Man, and soon Spider Man 2. Um, and that's just name that's I got this from Insider Gaming, so that was a naming a few of them that have emerged. Um, Xbox has had Forza, multiple titles of Forza, Halo 5, Halo Infinite, Gears of War 4, Gears of War 5, Sea of Thieves, and State of Decay 2. And that's, I mean, but they're, and I know they need a win. They do, like, to
Oh
stay
yeah.
competitive. And I don't want Xbox to fail. I like to poke fun at Xbox? Of course I do. I like to poke fun at Microsoft. I poke fun at all of the platforms. That's what I do. Um, I'm hoping that this will bring it back. Do I think it will? From what I've seen, I don't know. I don't think it's dead on arrival when it releases. I think, but the 30 FPS, 60 FPS issue, yeah, that concerns me because I don't understand why that's still a thing,
It's a
given the way the
they
tech is.
okay. I know I'm just a content creator. I'm not a game developer, and I know it's very arrogant of me to say this and that I shouldn't be talking like that, but I think they've made some creative mistakes. 60 FPS should have been prioritized over giving the freedom to put sandwiches everywhere you want because that's one of the big things. It was analyzed. One of the big problem with Starfield, one of the reason they can't put 60 FPS is that it remembers where you put stuff. Like you kill someone, he dies, he's laying on the ground. You pick up a plate, you pick up a sandwich, you pick up whatever, you move it around and drop it. And like any Elder Scrolls games or Fallout games, the game always remembers where you put everything. And the engine they use kind of struggles, and like it's tracking too much stuff at the same time. So putting all that together, plus the fact, and that's pretty much been confirmed, the fact that the game is actually developed for the Xbox Series S. The Xbox Series S is the main platform for Starfield. The Xbox
Yeah,
Series X is going to get an upgraded version, but the main platform is the Xbox Series S. So they have to account for that platform with tracking everything that's going on, like every items that they're putting everywhere. So that is slashing the performance they have available. So they have to tone it down to 30 FPS, where I'm pretty sure they aimed for 60 FPS, just wasn't possible.
yeah,
So, in my opinion, they should have removed the ability to take every single object in the game and make him so that you can displace him. I had a word for that. Basically, make every object static. Don't make him interactable. So it might not be like some people might be disappointed of losing that interactivity, but then you're able to make the game 60 FPS. You're freeing up a lot of memory, which will
yeah.
make a lot more people happy. If your game still plays great and like you got that whole world building, your starship that you're making and everything, but you're just not able to interact on stuff laying on the counter. Personally, I don't care. The few times I've played Elder Scroll a lot, and playing with stuff just moving it around. I've done it a few times just to mess around. I thought it was cool, but it was never like if it wasn't there, not a deal breaker. In my opinion, it should not be a priority when making a game.
Ooh.
Hmm.
Ooh, that got updated soon recently.
Was that?
Interesting. No, I so while you were discussing that, I was pulling in a few other articles. I know there was another premium PlayStation Plus premium game that was added to the demos. A Sports just dropped a new baseball game, but the interesting one that I pulled up was, and I know you had shared something about it because it caught my eye in the chat, was about their PlayStation's mobile gaming division. Has
Yes.
had a bit of a shakeup, and there's an update. So I know that one guy, whoever was running it, got canned. They brought in an ex Meta product manager, but that person will be joined by former Kabam bigwig Chris Davis. So they're getting two people to run their mobile division. And Kabam, and it says Kabam for people that don't know, is a massive mobile gaming company responsible for games like Disney Mirrorverse and Marvel Contest of Champions.
Yep. So what's going on here? And we didn't get any communication on this. It's that news just came out today. So Sebastiani, the guy who was there before that, just finished his. I'm guessing finished his contract. He was there for 2 years at PlayStation, and he started up the mobile division. He's the one who got Savage Games to be acquired by PlayStation. Worked a lot on that.
Right.
What I'm seeing here, and I've seen that in other tech companies and companies that are expanding in new direction, I get the feeling that his job was to lay the foundation, lay the basically start the mobile division and expand it and make it viable. So you have people like that get hired all the time. Okay, you got a short contract, you lay the foundation, you're a builder, and they do their job. At the end, they get paid. It's like, okay, your contract is over. You've managed to complete that. Here's a bonus. Thank you. And he moves on to another project. Would 100% not be surprised to see that guy get hired by Netflix, who's currently building something as well. And they're
Yeah.
hiring a lot. They're doing major head hunting. So my guess is that guy is not interested in maintaining and doing day-to-day work. He wants to build projects. He was at Apple for a long time. He had
Yeah.
work on other projects that he's been setting up stuff, laying the grounds, and he moves on from project to project. Look at history. He's been building a lot of projects that he was there at the beginning, and once those projects starts to be running in a good motion, he moves on to something else. So the guy is a builder. He was there at
Yeah.
PlayStation for 2 years, seems to have built up something, ready to move on to
Yeah.
most likely
It
another project.
because it said yeah because it said they when he was brought in, he was currently working on Sony's first AAA mobile live service action game.
Yep.
And now obviously that changed because it went. And I feel like even though he got let go, I feel like the game, if they're still working on that, that it's in good hands with the two people that replaced him.
Yes.
Because especially when you got a company like Kabam that knows gaming, mobile gaming. And I was reading some of the comments, and the one that stuck out was somebody commented about this and said that it seems pointless to even have this division, that the mobile division with PlayStation.
No, it's
Bringing
not.
big, bringing big Sony IP to phones is a bad fit. Create something new to the platform, maybe, but what's the point? While there is some overlap with mobile gaming with things like COD Mobile, Fortnite, Minecraft, it's not really an ideal model. At best, they could take their games and just straight up port them over, use the phone as its own mini PC. I don't play these games on my phone like a traditional mobile game. Touchscreens are terrible for gaming beyond simple trinkets. Well, that's inaccurate. So either evolve that underpowered market or stay out of it. That means trophies and making the bigger games than what mobile is known for. Even then, you have to deal with the legal mess Epic and others have had to deal with on iPhone and Android. Remote play and cloud is their best options. Beyond that, the former are already working great, so why bother with anything else? And then, real quick, the next one, it was somebody named Green Bandit said it's hard to get mobile off the ground, which I agree. That statement right there, that little bit, is accurate. Microsoft and Sony are finding this out. Hence, why Microsoft is trying to buy ABK. It's really about King. COD and others can stay multi-plat, but Microsoft just wants the Candy Crush money from King in the mobile storefront. Not sure what the next steps for Sony is because they can't just buy out a large mobile team. I'm sure Sony will think of something because mobile crushes everything in
Okay,
dollars.
that just gonna stop you there. That's clearly
Go.
someone who doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah,
So I'm
exactly.
just gonna interrupt you
Both of
on
them.
this.
No, no, go for it. Go
Uh,
for it. That's what I was waiting
so
for.
what's going on right now is, and people are saying, "Oh, Sony's got nothing on mobile. Sony's got nothing on mobile." Okay, shut the f up because Sony started investing 2 years ago. Like they always had some stuff they were looking at, but 2 years ago they said, "Okay, we're starting the mobile division. We got plans." 2 freaking years. That's nothing. That is squiddly squat nothing. Okay, you can bring up arguments of, oh, there's my cousin. He built an app in 4 months and it started selling it. We're talking about Sony here. Sony does quality. They
Yeah,
won't deliver a half-washed product. Like even like Run Sackboy Run that came out a few months ago, that was at the time published by Sony. Go back, it's no longer published by Sony. It's no longer Sony Mobile that's publishing it right now. I think they kind of did a trial with that, but it was developed by another studio that doesn't belong to Sony, and
yeah,
reception wasn't great. And Sony's like, yeah, that's not what we're getting into mobile for. So Sony will, in due time, deliver products, native games. Hey, what's up, Rudix? Good to see you.
what's going on, buddy?
So they will make mobile native games that are well optimized for mobile that builds on the IPs, but it's not going to be a PS5 game on your mobile. They will make particular mobile games that will tie in into the PS5 IPs and all, but standalone, and they'll make sure that it's quality games that people will be interested in seeing. How long until we
Yeah.
see it? Might be a year, might be 5 years. It takes time to make that kind of stuff, and they'll want to make sure that it's good quality products. But
Well, and
the
I
fact,
didn't. I just wanted to read those because I had already skimmed through that, and I thought those comments are the ones that stood up because they were the most uh,
people don't
out of
want
touch.
Sony to get involved in that because they want Sony to keep to the console and to the single player games because that's what they enjoy. But Sony is evolving because they don't have a choice. So
Yeah.
because the market is evolving away from that, and that's not where the
Well,
big money is.
and it worked, but they, if any, I mean, there are some companies that yes, probably should not do mobile games that just can't. I don't, but to say that mobile gaming is not a thing is you're blind. That was that I picked
It's a
those two
massive
comments out.
market.
It is.
Gen
It will
Genshin
always
Impact
be.
or Genshin Impact, however you pronounce it. Genshin Impact last year made more profit than Sony is in its entirety.
And that's a mobile game. That's
Yeah,
what's crazy about that statement. Is that's like, and I get that you don't want your favorite platform to branch out and do other things, but you have to do that. Like, it makes sense to tap into these markets that you know are profitable. And I'm sorry, but mobile gaming is probably a bigger aspect than console gaming.
mm-hmm.
Mobile gaming is a huge, huge market, and it
Mobile
will
gaming,
always be.
gaming at the moment is the biggest and the most profitable market in the industry, and that's uncontestable. Like the facts are out there. It's the
Ubisoft
biggest,
is
most
working on
profitable
one.
one.
Ubisoft is currently working on a AAA mobile game,
Mm-hmm.
a mobile only game. It
Well,
would not surprise me to see Sony do the same thing.
it's a
Sony's got the IP to do it.
it's about time because at the moment, if you look at the mobile market, you have a bunch of small games like Candy Crush and all that are making big numbers, but like it's casual games. But the more serious studios, like you'll find like Hoyoverse with a Genshin Impact and Star Rail that are making a lot of money. Like you'll have some Asian studios like that. You'll have a few that are trying here and there. But it's like Ubisoft in the past has done some mobile games, but the majority of them were not that great. Now there's the new Division game they're making that I'm
Yep.
intrigued about. I want to see of. But if Sony
I,
really
I
invest into mobile and make
I'll tell you what, it looks fantastic. I tested it.
awesome, try to get me on it if you can.
It
So
looks phenomenal.
gonna have to try it. Oh, Roger has to go. Good night. I need to go to
I
sleep. It's
see,
3:30
see you,
a.m.
bud.
See you, Roger.
Oof.
Glad to have you on. So, if Sony manages to get some good studios working on mobile products, deliver some quality titles, that's a big stream of revenue. Something else that people are complaining about, sorry for the coughing, is the service games that Sony is 100% working on. We know about it. It's no longer speculation. They've called it themselves. They've showed it, their investment in there. And people are also complaining about that because Sony is investing a ton of money and it seems to have slowed down the development of their games. No wonder they have to allocate studios and resources to that.
But
But we're at a point where some of those games are about to come out. We know about Factions that it got basically didn't pass the Bungie test because they got Bungie to go around and test multiple of them. They've greenlight some. Some they said no, it needs more work. Factions from The Last of Us is one that apparently it's fun, but the comments that came out that I was able to see is the game is great, it plays great, and that's I've seen like it's one of the devs working on it that mentioned it. The game's really fun,
go.
but that they feel like it's not engaging enough for a long period of time. So they'd release it, and most likely for the next 2 months, you'd only hear about Factions. Then in 2 months, it would die off, and you'd never hear about
Yeah.
it again,
I
which is
mean,
what Sony wants to avoid.
yeah.
So they want to release service games that will build an audience, and people will play, people will
Well,
talk about,
but
and that you'll
and
have
the tech is
seasons coming
there
out, and
though.
that, oh yeah, the tech is there. But I feel like the platform.
This phone here could probably run rings around some. If they gave me a good
Mhm.
AAA game, I could probably throw something out there.
But Sony is
I just
trying
wanted to show
to.
the I just wanted to show off the phone.
That's a great looking phone. But Sony right now is trying to make service games set up with all of their studios that run some of their IPs, and we might see Twisted Metal very soon. That once the game is out there, like right now, it's taken away a lot of their studio's time. Okay, but we're still getting some great games that are coming out, and once some of those great games make their proofs and are out on the PlayStation, and some of them on PC or whatever, once they're running, after that, it's just maintaining them. So you have some teams that are keep working on those, keep creating content, a bit like Fortnite. Get some new skins, get some seasonal content, more story
Yeah.
dropping here and there. But that's easier to maintain. So that's a bit of maintenance you do to the game all the time for a pretty interesting stream of revenue you're building for the platform, which you can then use for your big AAA titles that you're making. So it's adding to the ecosystem. So to come back to what we were talking about originally, so yeah, they lost their head guy from the mobile division, but they got Hira Viecotamanche and Chris Davis, who are both pretty experienced in that environment. They're now co-head, and they both started at the same time 1 year and 3 months ago. So what it's telling me is that while the other guy was in there, those two guys were hired at the same time to take on that job. So he already knew he was leaving most likely, and those guys were jumping in to take the slack to carry on from then and
Yeah.
maintaining mobile and releasing the games and all. So the other guy was most likely just there to build the foundation, and that was his job, and he finished that job. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe he didn't do the job properly and they fired him. Maybe he just got a better offer. But this is what I'm feeling from what's happening right now. He did his job. moved on, and that's it. So Spectrum earlier said, so after the Sony showcase, they got a lot of criticism for lack of first-party games being shown, and they said they had another showcase plan. When do you both expect to see another Sony showcase? My guess, it'll be around when Spider-Man 2 releases. So, talking about September, October.
Oh, I'm sure of it. Because that'll give them time to promote the game. Because we all know that's going to be a freaking massive game. That thing is going to just be a hit when it comes out.
Oh yeah, it's looking amazing. And okay, it was right there. There's a big, massive news that came out just a few days ago. I don't know if you're looking at the screen. So with the PlayStation Plus game catalog coming out, the reveal of the games. So PlayStation Plus game catalog for June plus PS5 game streaming news update for premium members.
That part there intrigued me. The game the game for June. I was gonna add them anyways. It's always cool to see what they add.
Oh, there's some pretty solid titles.
Oh yeah, no. I'm not discrediting that. I'm just like they always are going to give us fantastic titles to add, but it kind of was like I saw the PlayStation 5 and I was like, ooh, that just overshadowed all the games that I cared about.
So, first off, we have exciting news for PlayStation Plus Premium members. We're currently testing out cloud streaming for supported PS5 games. This includes PS5 titles from the PlayStation Plus game catalogs and game trials, as well as supported digital PS5 titles that players own. So that's not just the subscription. Hey, what's up, Nito? Good to see you, man. So if you bought digital titles on PlayStation Store and that they're supported, and my guess is from the wording, there's going to be a lot supported because they're talking also about the games trials and all of that. So all the games that have trials, so like Hogwarts Legacy, likely will be supported by that.
I know, yeah, that one got some negative feedback on it.
Negative?
Because the time frame, how long you can play the game.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes.
45 minutes, and essentially that's basically creating your character and doing the tutorial.
Yeah, I found it weird when it came out. It was only 45 minutes, but yeah. But here's the thing now, that is exclusively to the PS5 console for now. So you won't be able to use the cloud gaming for PS5 titles on PC yet, as according to this wording.
I wonder though if there's a reason behind that.
Oh yeah, that's where I'm going to. So this is basically just a trial at the moment for the PS5 streaming. They're rolling it out slowly. They're testing out how it will react, because it's one thing to test out things in a controlled environment. So if you're in Virginia in the PlayStation data center where you have the blades, the Epic blades, and you're going in the next room, and you go in the next room and turning on the cloud streaming, it's gonna look fantastic because that big blade with the AMD Epic chip, that's the most powerful chip in the world that's running your PlayStation emulation, is right next to you. So it might go through Wi-Fi, but it's still local. So getting that working there and deploying it is two different things. Now we know for a while, like PlayStation 4 games streamed over the cloud have looked fantastic through PlayStation. I tried once in a while. If you try the PS3 titles, it looks like dog shit. That's because they're still using the original blades for the PS3, because it's not PS3 emulation. It's the actual blades that were designed for the PlayStation 3 back then. So it's very limited the amount of improvements it can do on those. Hopefully they've managed to find something to fix that. But if you're playing PlayStation 4 games in the cloud, it looks fantastic. For me, it looks great. I've heard some people who had issues, mostly in the UK, I believe. But over here in Canada, and I know in the United States as well, it's running crispy clear, fantastic. Like it's almost
Yeah.
on the GFN
And
level in terms
I
of.
I've I've tested it utilizing Mac OS. When I tested out using like parallels, essentially to install Windows through a virtualization type thing, it still ran that and looked fantastic.
Yeah,
Now I will, but my thought with this is okay. I get that side of things why they're delaying it for the PC side, but I also because you don't want to overload things because you know what happens then. If you overload it, what's going to happen? Everyone's going to bitch, moan, and
everyone's gonna
groan.
jump on it immediately, get
Say that
excited.
it's going to be all negative. Oh yeah, everyone would hop on board almost immediately, and either it's going to degrade the performance, everyone's going to complain, or it's going to crash the whole server,
What
which is the other issue.
what happened when Stadia came out? You got Young Ye in his office at a Washington Post or whatever where he's working. Don't remember where exactly. That was using a mesh Wi-Fi in his office that's on a commercial IP, and he was trying to run Stadia, and he was like pressing the keyboard, and you could see a like 3 second delay between the action and the
Well,
screen.
look at
But he had all the
Fortnite.
conditions lined up to make it run bad. While on top of that, the service just came out and the servers were overloaded. So everything was
Yeah.
aligned for it to look bad. He captured the footage, posted it online. It's like, oh, that's how bad it's running. No,
Yep.
if you properly set up your thing, it runs actually really well. Well,
Yeah,
PlayStation.
and but PlayStation's not going to want it that way. You're going to want it to run ideal. That's the Sony way of doing things. They
Mhm.
don't want to risk it crashing the servers. We've seen that. Look, Fortnite. What happened with XCloud? What happened with Luna? Any service that has a massive game and has a huge following when they add it and everyone jumps on board, it your servers can't handle it. Now, my other thought that could be more of just a weird conspiracy theory or just something that I want them to do is that they tested it out on the PS5. That makes sense, but could there also be a reason that they're holding off on PC because maybe they're updating the app and maybe they're bringing out maybe a Mac version or especially because it would make sense because look what Apple did also. They brought in a game porting toolkit. And we've already seen that it's very easy for anybody to take a game and put it into that porting tool that they have now and essentially get that game to run. I've seen 20 Spider-Man. I watched somebody playing Spider-Man on the PC version, put it through that porting app, played it on Mac, and it was getting about 70 frames per second on the M2.
Mhm.
So who's to say that they can't just easily drop that PlayStation Cloud app in that porting tool, port it over, and bam, there you go. Now you got it. Now I can play my PlayStation Cloud content on a MacBook.
Yeah. So I think first they're gonna do the PS5 upgrade for the on the PS5, so you can play your PS5 games in the cloud, and
That'll be a
people will notice
lifesaver for
slowly
people.
how great it looks because they're updating the blades. There's next to no latency. Picture quality looks amazing. It's 1080p stream but upscaled, and PlayStation 5 is a device that's built on machine learning, so the upscaling looks amazing.
Yeah, it
Uh,
looks it. I had 100. I have 100 meg download speed for my internet right now. What I'm using on a mobile hotspot, and I've tested PS playing games. Now it takes forever to download something, but it's playing it, and I did do some streaming on the PS5 before I left and went out of town and everything. But it still looks. You can't tell that I'm using a freaking mobile hotspot
mhm.
essentially because it looks like it's locally installed,
Oh
which
no,
I don't
it runs
understand.
really well.
I don't understand that because you would think you would need really good internet to do that, and you don't.
You need 35 megabyte per second.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the cloud gaming stuff, and that was one of the things that drew me to cloud gaming in the very beginning. Back with Stadia was the weird voodoo magic tech shit that
Hmm.
goes on behind the scenes that I don't understand and I want to know. And it works. It worked great on Stadia, and it works. I can't say the same for XCloud because I haven't tested it in a while. But PlayStation, There were times when I first started. That's why Doc and I did a PlayStation podcast in the beginning, because neither one of us could tell that it was a cloud game at one
Yeah,
point in time. You remove all things off the screen, all the overlays, all that fancy shit. You would just think I'm streaming local. I'm just doing a local game installed on it. But I was like,
playing
no, this is the cloud, and I'm getting
two
1080p, and I don't understand
2 years
how it's
ago. I
possible.
was playing Doom 2016 in the cloud on PlayStation at 1080p 60.
I was
Back when it
doing
was still 720p, but no, that was 1080p.
Yeah, that's when I tested out. I was doing Call of Duty Black Ops
3.
Four, whichever one was on there, and you could not tell me that. I mean, one, I could tell it wasn't 720. It was a 1080p stream in the cloud, and I'm just like, I don't understand how I'm playing a Call of Duty game in the cloud on a PlayStation, because it doesn't seem like it should be possible, and it was. And
Mm-hmm.
for them to like, I know this is why the fact that they're now announcing, well, we're starting to do the testing for PS5 games in the cloud. They've been working on this for months, for
Oh,
a
years.
while now, and we've talked about it not only on this podcast but on Cloud Station, Cloud Nation, all of the podcasts essentially that we've ever done, whether it was cloud gaming or just PlayStation. We've been talking about this for over a year, that they've been working on. There's documented. There's all
The patents and
the
everything.
patents, everything that have been showing that they've already been working on this behind the scenes. And we said that at some point when they're ready, they will let it out and they will make an announcement. Sony will make the
They
announcement.
already
It
announced
won't
it.
be a leak. Yeah,
There's a blog post, but also there's the last investors meeting.
they've announced it, and now they've gone to the point where, like, hey, now we're testing it.
But
So
Jim
it's
Ryan,
close.
during the last investors call, he was asked about the strategies, and
Yep, yes, now
they
that's what it
asked
was called
about
back in the day.
cloud, and he said that he had a strategy that's going on right now in action that he could not disclose because it's not yet out and it's too sensitive, but that they were doing a very aggressive move towards cloud gaming and that it would put them in a good place. Like, I'd have to find the exact quote, but they're doing a move right now, and this, like, that here, the PlayStation streaming to PS5, that's just step one of many steps. So mobile should be coming by November. Like when the PlayStation Q releases, the handheld that Sony's working on, mobile cloud gaming should at least be compatible with certain devices, if not just this one at the beginning and then eventually to mobile phones. But that thing will support native cloud gaming and not just remote play cloud gaming.
Yeah,
I'm sure of it. There's no sense of not putting cloud gaming on it because it is a streaming device that will connect to the Wi Fi that has
yeah,
PlayStation firmware on it. So it's very likely that you'll
but
have.
they're not ready yet. They're not there. That's the thing. Is
What do
you're
you mean?
not. Well, they're not, like, for the on the handheld device. They're just getting ready to launch the cloud gaming, the PS5 stuff. So it makes sense to not do
Oh,
everything
by
at
then.
once.
So right now they're talking about releasing the PS5 cloud gaming, but I don't think it'll be before. Like, it'll be during the summer. I'm fairly confident that the PS5 will roll out to PC and possibly Mac to other devices.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I think that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense to get that done. They need to slowly get that stuff rolling out. It would be nice.
So
I've been waiting for that Mac app for a
there's a
while now.
few
Damn it.
moves that's gonna come down from PlayStation uh, to solidify their stance in cloud gaming because that is in the middle of the conversation everywhere. And PlayStation's been holding out for a while, even though we've seen the tech being worked on. They've been perfecting it without talking about it. Now it's time to roll it out. So what we're seeing here is the first step. Just just hold on
Yeah,
because we're gonna see some exciting stuff going on this. So I'm really psyched for that news. When I saw that, it's like, yeah, this is perfect. That's what they needed to do. Now they're going head on in this. So, and yeah, so cloud gaming, definitely got a big update on this, plus a lot of very interesting titles. So Far Cry 6, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, Rogue Legacy 2. That's a day and date title to PlayStation Plus.
Nice.
So that's
Not
a
that it's not that it's needed for day and date. I don't think that's a
I
necessity.
believe it's now 4 months in a row that games are coming out day and date on PlayStation Plus subscription. It's
Can't can't
minor
can't
indie titles,
complain.
minor indie
Yeah.
titles, but day and date and Rogue Legacy. I know the first one was pretty popular, so that's definitely good. Inscription, heard a lot of good stuff about that. Solstice, that's good. Tacoma, DSX, Mankind Divided. I believe it was on it before it got removed. Now it's back. Killing Floor 2, Lonely Mountain Downhill, Vampire the Masquerade, Coteries of New York, 100 Days Winemaking Simulator. Hey, a Stadia game.
Woo.
Hat in Time, very popular. Carto Forager, Dutch Ball Academia, The Wild at Hearts, Red Out 2, Thief, MX versus ATV Legends, Paw Patrol, Mighty Pop Save Adventure Bay, My Friend Peppa Pig, DC Leagues of Super Pets, bunch of kids
Hey,
games.
wow. So what they do? Add all of the outright games.
Yep.
That's literally all the outright games.
Talos Principle Deluxe Edition, Alex 2, that'll be interesting, and Conan Exile, which I thought it was on
That
there, or maybe I
I
got it
had
as
so much.
PlayStation Plus.
I I had so much hope for that game. I thought it was going to be something else, and I was so disappointed to find out what it really was.
It's basically Minecraft in the Conan world.
Yeah, I was so disappointed. I thought I could just be Conan and run around swinging a sword and chasing after Red Sonja, but
Mm.
maybe Ubisoft can make me one of those games.
And there's Killzone Liberation, which was a PSP title. Worms, Herc's Adventure, Coded Soul. So yeah,
I
definitely
mean, that's a pretty good list.
pretty decent list. It's very
Yeah,
solid.
well, and I like that it's the genres are all over the place. Like it doesn't just focus on one type of games. They cover all gamers. If you
Mm-hmm.
look at the past few months, what when we're getting the games, it's stuff that covers for every type of gamer, kids, adults, you know, the ones that want the old school, the nostalgia gamers, the ones that want the retro stuff, and I want that whatever it is.
Yeah, those
I
are
want those.
PlayStation Stars memorabilias, like the collectibles
I want those.
campaign. So this one's a PlayStation Plus celebration game catalog. Uh, so catalog of Final Fantasy VII Remake, the Demon Soul. So there'll be a bunch of games that you need to launch to get this one that are part of the catalog. PlayStation Plus Celebration Classic Catalog. I'd actually like to have that ring and reel. This one looks great. So with the
I know,
four
right?
symbols.
Maybe I
So
could
yeah,
3D
this one
print
will
that
be
shit.
playing classic games and PlayStation Plus Celebration Game Trials. So there'll be some activities to do in order to earn those, but definitely nice little collectibles to add to your collection. And there's a contest for winning a PS5 and PSVR 2. So they're going all in with big events, a lot of stuff coming in. There's a speedrun challenge, online multiplayer weekend. So it was a big update for this month.
Yeah.
So they have a
I mean,
lot.
the biggest thing definitely was the that they're letting us know, hey, PS5 cloud gaming is coming soon to a you know PC or device near you. I guess is what you would call it.
Mhm.
It sounds cooler to say a PC near you, but I just want it on Mac. I'm really hoping that we get a Mac app, especially with I I want to say my suggest thought of when we'll see the PlayStation Plus Premium app on Mac will be when Mac OS Sport whatever what is it Mac Sonoma or whatever the hell it's called When that releases, that's when we'll see it. So whenever that, because it's in beta now, so I'm guessing like September, October timeframe is probably when we could see it. But I think that's what they're going to do because I think that we already know that Sony and Apple. I've been a promoter of them too. We know they have a nice, lovely relationship. I've mentioned that thousands of times on every podcast I've been on. But I think with this new porting tool, when Sonoma goes live, like not out of beta and it's just live for everyone, the moment that it updates, that's when you'll see that app. I think it's going to come out for that operating system.
Yeah, and we've been mentioning for a while now that the PlayStation Plus app on PC needs an update. And I've been saying I think they're holding off
Oh,
updating
it's
it because they
15.
got a big overhaul coming for the platform that they're going to change a whole bunch of stuff, including
Yeah.
PS5 streaming. And I think when they
Well,
roll out that big update, at the same time it's going to come to Mac. They
yeah.
won't
So
bring the current
macOS
app to.
Sonoma is right now it's in beta testing. Apple plans to make the public beta in July. A public follow launch will follow this fall. So my guess is like I said, September is probably when it's going to launch. But remember, the other thing that Apple had come out with that's included in this new operating system is a new game mode.
Mhm.
So it automatically gives games top priority on your Mac CPU, GPU, lower usage for background tasks. It also reduces latency and improves responsiveness with wireless accessories such as AirPods and controllers, and it doubles the Bluetooth sampling rate, which would work great when you bring in a PlayStation controller, like this glorious thing that I use on my MacBook, and then you use the porting toolkit to port it over.
Yep.
So it's only a matter of time, and like I said, I bet $100, I bet any amount that we will see it on Mac OS Sonoma in September when it launches. That's because they'll use that toolkit to port it over because it's literally just point click and there's no developing. You don't do anything. It literally is just port the app right over, and it ports it over with Metal with whatever Apple uses. With the Mac, it simplifies, it converts the shaders, the graphics code, everything to take advantage of Apple Silicon. So, to me, that tells me, as my conspiracy therapist has told me, start connecting the dots, and that's what I've been doing with Apple and PlayStation for a while now, and I just keep adding to my crazy person board. So when it all comes true, crazy old vet is going to be right. I'm that crazy guy that lives in the mountains, and I will be right. I don't know
So,
if I should buy that. Should I buy Final Fantasy 16?
did you try the demo?
No, because my internet won't allow me to download that right now. Dude, I'm not.
Oh,
That would take 100 meg download speed. Might take me. Well, I guess if I. Well, it does run downloads in the background, like at night. Even when it's in sleep mode, it still downloads stuff. So I guess I could start it to download and then play it. So yeah, maybe I will. Maybe I'll set it for tomorrow. It's going to be raining the next few days anyways here, so
so that's a big thing that's been going around. Is the demo for Final Fantasy 16 has come out, and it looks and plays phenomenal. It's really outstanding. Like
I just
I was
I
expecting a
never
good game.
I know it'll be a good game. I don't know if I can get myself to get into it or how easily like if it's going to be one that I'm going to get annoyed with because I can't get into it, or is it going to be one of
There's
those where I get into it and then that becomes my life and
Yeah, I
I'm a
think
Final
that's
Fantasy
going to be more the case because
person.
they've made it so the game by itself has only one difficulty. So you can't
Oh,
change
thank the
like
Lord.
well, at the beginning you can't change the difficulty of the enemies, but you have rings that you can equip that does part of the fighting for you. So it's
Okay.
kind of the easy mode, like it'll auto dodge for you, it'll auto do some attacks for you, and it kind of automates everything so that the more rings you equip, the more like everything is just easier. But I like the challenge, so I had none of the rings equipped, and I had a blast with it. So the fighting mechanics are insanely good. The story, like, I had the jaw to the floor and almost cried during the demo because it was that good. And it's really engaging. And it's like, I was shocked at the end of the demo and troubled by what they were showing.
Yeah,
Like, okay, like, this is next level storytelling. They come and get you. Like, they get you attached to the characters, and I don't want to get into any spoilers, but
right.
you finish the demo and you're like, what the hell is going on? And you need to see what's going to happen next. So the game is coming out this Thursday. Review embargo is coming out on Wednesday, and pretty much most of the people I've seen who tried the demo were not expecting too much and finished. It's like, okay, yeah, no, game of the year. Like, just the demo is enough to give it. It's the game of the year. Like, most people who said that it was Tears of the Kingdom are like, no, 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 this is way better. Like, this is the game. Like, they've done such a phenomenal job. The game mechanics are great. The graphics are amazing. Like, the guys from Digital Foundry did an analysis on it. There were some issues with the performance mode. Like, the frame rate doesn't hold up as much as like it dips down to like 50 FPS here and there. Once in a while, there's some events where it dips down further, but all in all, most of the time it sticks to 60 FPS, no worries, no problem. And so the performance is pretty good, and there's a patch that came out today that apparently resolves that, and it's a lot more stable around the 60 FPS. And
Yeah,
so performance is good, graphics are phenomenal, and the writing for the game is next level. It's really it's phenomenal. At what they did with the story for this game is just crazy. Uh, they yeah, it's hard to it's hard to explain. You have to play it. So
yeah.
I have Friday off from work. I'll be streaming that most likely all day. Uh,
Um, it looks like Ron is all about this as well because I think he said uh Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2 will solidify PlayStation for 2023.
yeah,
Yeah,
because it's
I'd
next
say
level.
so.
It's totally next level stuff. It's phenomenal. Spider-Man 2, I think, will be solid. It's it's just too much quality games that are coming out this year that it's hard to believe it's all coming out within the same year. And then you have Star Wars Outlaws that I'm looking at, and it seems too good to be true. Like, it's like we're getting good games like nonstop. It's just
Oh,
crazy.
I know it's well. Then the other problem with that is like, what the hell are we supposed to do now? You think about it, I'm like, well, I don't have all this time to just sit and play video games anymore. I don't want to be an adult anymore. I just want to play video games. It's just like I don't know what the fuck to do anymore now. I already don't have the time as it is, and most of us don't have the time to
Yeah.
to be able to play as much as we want. Especially if you've got kids like you've got young ones.
Oh
I
yeah, I'm working full time. I got kids that are
luckily
requiring a
mine
lot
I
of
can just
time,
put.
and
I mean, luckily with mine he's 6, so I can just put on Minecraft on YouTube, and he can sit there for hours, or I don't know. He watches some weird shit with some blue dude, and I don't understand half the stuff he watches anymore. I've
watches
seen him.
Avatar.
No, it's some
Some
stupid
blue
shit on
dude
YouTube. Yeah, he watches the weirdest stuff. I don't understand it. What's wrong with kids these
runs saying Avatar might be this year's surprise hit. It could.
days?
It's
You
looking
know,
pretty
I
great.
agree. I agree with him. I think that the big ones will be Spider-Man 2. There's no question that one's going to take control. I think um, definitely the Star Wars game.
That one's next
I,
year though.
that one, yeah, that one's next year. That right off the bat, you're already starting strong with next year for Ubisoft. But Avatar could be that sleeper game nowhere. And it's not like we haven't had games like that before.
Hmm.
Those sleeper games that you don't think about, and then you play it and you're like, holy crap! Like Chia, that was one of those that I was like an unexpected, you know, thing.
Yeah, Chia has chances of it could be the indie game of the year. Strong contender for that. Final Fantasy 16 is a surprise because people were expecting a great game, but not that great. Everyone who
Yeah.
tried it, it's the same. Like the reactions to people playing, like all the streamers that have been streaming this, like there's some compilation has been done online, and it's similar to like when the Red Wedding happened in Game of Thrones. People watching it and being like, "What happened?" Almost looks like that. Like people's reaction, everyone finishing the demos, like, "Okay, what the hell?" Like it's funny to watch, but it's well deserved. The game is looking
Ron said
fantastic.
Street Fighter 6 is his current game of the year.
That game
See,
is
I'm not
another
gonna lie,
one
that
that
game.
surprised people. People were expecting a good game, and they got a better game than they were
Do you
expecting.
know what though? I want to. You can't. What about? What are your thoughts on Mortal Kombat? One is it one? They
Yeah,
went
Mortal
from 10 to
Kombat
one.
1 is
So
basically
because
Liu
they,
Kang resetting the universe to make coming back to the beginning of the story, but in his own
yeah.
created universe.
So he just snapped his. I'm sorry, he didn't snap his finger. That's wrong universe.
So it's God Liu Kang within a Mortal Kombat setting, starting
I
all
watched
over.
the trailers for that, and oh my god, I'm not gonna say that I didn't enjoy the sheer amount of blood that was going on in that, but
Mm.
I did. The other one that I'm still waiting on is RoboCop, and I know that
Yeah,
it is what it is. One day I will see that game, and I will, regardless. I'm sure it's going to get bad reviews because that's just the way games are these days. And I will still love the game because it's RoboCop, and that's all that I need to say. It's like if an Indiana Jones game came out now, doesn't matter how bad it is. It's just like that with RoboCop. Doesn't matter. It could be a terrible game as long as I can play as RoboCop and I can shoot people. I don't care. I'm
that's
good. I'm
that's
sold.
one thing in the Xbox showcase. Where was Indiana Jones? Does that game still
Uh,
exist? Because
I
people
don't
were
know. I
expecting an
haven't.
update on it, and it was nowhere
I
to be seen.
But the thing is with that also, even with it, I haven't heard anything about it.
So
I literally haven't heard any news on the on that game.
it might just be like holding off until like they were ready to show something, but kind of funny that we haven't heard anything in a while. And yes, Ron was talking about Dead Space remake and Resident Evil 4 remake as well were big hits this year. It's it's been a pretty busy year this year for quality
Yeah.
games.
Well, yeah, compared to last year, look at the struggles that we had last year with games getting, with all the delays. We knew this was going to be a big year for games.
Yeah, there was a
That
few
was
games that didn't show up at the Xbox showcase. Same for the PlayStation showcase. People were expecting. I was expecting some games that didn't make it there, and
Terminator.
there's
Haven't
people
played that.
who saw trailers. They finished the showcase and were like, "Where is it?" There's still some games that people were shown the trailer that they thought was at a showcase because they've been told, "Okay, this is coming out real soon," and it's still not been announced. But PlayStation has some deals going on for a bunch of stuff, like Final Fantasy 16 demo. Like people thought would be announced at a showcase, it wasn't. Spider-Man 2 release date was revealed during the Summer Game Fest, and there's some partnership that's going on with that PlayStation is using to push some advertising that makes those partnership look good. Like Summer Game
Well,
Fest was improved by PlayStation's presence over there. With the stuff they
I
showed
mean,
during the
the
Summer
the
Game
the
Fest.
thing, yeah, and I was excited for the Indiana Jones game because I knew who was making it, and that was Machine Games. I was okay with that because Machine Games is the one that did my other favorite killing game, and that's Duke or not Duke, Wolfenstein. They're the ones that did the newer versions of the Wolfenstein, the recent ones. So I was okay with that. Like I was like, all right. I mean, they did Wolfenstein justice. Great storyline, fantastic games. Where the hell is it? We got a new movie coming out. Where the hell is my stuff and that my game? And then I got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So they let me
So
down.
So Ron says, I think Ved would like Terminator Salvations made by the guys working on RoboCop. Might be good to look into. And Spectrum says, just so far, my game of the year's Tears of the Kingdom. A lot of people were saying that and switched over to Final Fantasy 16 because it's that good. And it says, I wanted the Last of Us faction at the showcase. I think they were supposed to show at the showcase. They didn't, and they've actually made an update. I don't know if you missed it. I think you've been less over on Twitter lately. Factions has been delayed because they went through the quality assurance process that Bungie has set up, and basically Bungie is in charge of making sure that all the service games are up to standard for what PlayStation wants, and Factions didn't pass the tests. So apparently it plays great. It looks phenomenal, but they haven't built a system in it to keep the players engaged over a long period of time, which they all need to have in order for the game to survive and bring in the revenue that it's supposed to bring. So they've delayed it. They haven't announced when it's going to come out. It might be a while. They're going to figure out a way of putting that content that's going to keep the engagement up over a long duration. In the meantime, they're refocusing on their next single player IP.
Yeah.
So that's coming down eventually. Just there were some delays on that, but it'll come out. Run says, I think Ved will like Exoprimal. You get to shoot dinosaurs. It does look like a lot of fun. It just means that the game will be best it can be on release. Yeah, so they need to rework it, but they're putting in the work. Should be phenomenal. Looking forward to that. One game. Okay, here's one thing that happened. So we know that they've put the release of Spider-Man 2 in October 20th, if I'm not mistaken. And just today, actually, they've released the trailer for the movie Kraven the Hunter, and they announced a release date, and it's coming out in October this year. So in October this year, we'll be getting both Spider-Man 2, which one of the main villains is Kraven the Hunter, which is featured. I had the trailer earlier, and right at the beginning, that's a gameplay. I have to find a cinematic trailer for that. It won't be long. Anyway, the cinematic trailer for that game when they released it at the beginning. Oh, it's right there. So right off the bat, they show Kraven as being a main villain for the game, and you have the movie coming out at the same time. So Sony's been talking about that. Jim Ryan and the whole team, they've been talking about making sure their IPs are covered. Like if they're making a game, they're making a TV show, a movie, something, they're going to try to make them work together to promote one another, because it increases sales, it increases revenue, it's good for them. So now we're seeing Kraven the Hunter, the movie, along with Spider-Man 2 that features Kraven the Hunter as one of the main villain in the game. So that's going to do a lot of cross promotion. So a lot of people excited about a game is going to go see the movie, and a lot of moviegoers going to know that, oh, Kraven was amazing, that movie. It does look good, the trailer. And he's one of the main villain in the game, and the game looks good. So that's kind of that synergy that Sony's trying to build with the different medias that they have that want to come together, basically. Now, there's another Sony IP coming out this summer, which we've seen some trailers that were kind of iffy, but they've also confirmed that they're making sure the quality is up to snuff when they're releasing the products for any of their PlayStation IPs, and it's Twisted Metal. Everything that's been shown kind of looks cheap, but I think they're just keeping it there like, okay, yeah, we got some stuff, we're working on it. But once it comes out, I think people will be surprised. I think it's going to be like, oh, it's actually good. They're Sony PlayStation lately. I've been very good at saying like, if it's not good, it's not coming out. If it's good, okay, we're green lighting it. And I think they just like threw some footage just to make people happy, but you're keeping the good stuff for when the show comes out. So July, we're seeing the TV show with Anthony Mackie and Stephanie Beatriz coming out, and along with Will Arnett and a bunch of actors. That will be on. Is it on Peacock? I know it's one of those
Yeah.
stations. And I think they will shadow drop the Twisted Metal service game at the same time. So they haven't made any announcement. I think they were supposed to show it at Showcase, but they decided to hold off. Maybe the trailer for it wasn't ready or something like that, or they just wanted to keep a surprise. But I do feel that when the TV show drops out, like we're seeing the movie for Craven coming out the same month that they're releasing Spider-Man 2, that we're going to see the game for Twisted Metal release at the same time that the show drops. Maybe it won't happen, but I get a feeling that's what we're going to see. Ron says Gran Turismo movie looks good. Yeah, that is something they showed during the PlayStation showcase. People were complaining. Why? It's a movie tie-in. It's a game tie-in movie, and it's looking phenomenal. Of course, they were going to show it in the PlayStation showcase. So, all in all, for the summers, like PlayStation showcase, I was very happy with it. Uh, as for Summer Game Fest, there was some interesting reveals. Also, pretty happy with it. And I also checked the Xbox showcase. Some of the stuff looked good. Some of the stuff I'm kind of like Starfield looked rough to me, really rough. I thought it was my stream, and I look like a John Lineman from a Digital Foundry. I saw like his comments. It was exactly the same thing I saw. The frame rate was around 20 FPS, even though it's aiming 30 FPS, but it was not getting 30 FPS. Hopefully, that's
Yeah.
something they fix by the time the game releases. But it the frame rate was distracting me too much that I couldn't appreciate like the gameplay. The gunfights didn't look good in my opinion. I
Yeah.
respect anyone's gonna enjoy the game, and I'm pretty sure someday I'll try it and I'll enjoy it. But the frame rate was too much of a problem in my opinion. If the game does release in that condition on the Xbox, like most likely GFN will play well
Yeah.
with a higher frame rate, but on the console that it's designed to be played on, that it's supposed to be optimized for, that it gets that kind of frame rate, in my opinion, it's a problem. Uh, but some other games, Clockwork Revolution, I feel looked fantastic. That was my highlight of the show, in my opinion. The game really looked great, even though they pretty much ripped off the trailer of Bioshock Infinite. But
Yeah.
visually, what I saw in the trailer, it looked fantastic, and I saw the description. It's a pretty in-depth RPG where you're customizing a lot of stuff. So I think that could be a phenomenal game. Fable looked great. Uh, I I'm curious to see actual gameplay, and I saw people like online trying to tell me, "Oh no, that was gameplay." No, that it was cutscenes of what the game will look like. I'm not doubting the graphics. Like it looked great, like Horizon Forbidden West looks great, and some other games. Like I'm not doubting that the Xbox can push graphics like that because we've already seen other games push that kind of graphics, and it does look fantastic.
Yeah.
So I don't doubt that. What I want to see is as a player
Be right
when
back.
you're okay, no worries. But yeah, as the player when you're playing, you got the UI, you got like your spells and everything. I want to see how it feels like to play the new Fable game because I like the original ones. Played all three of them. I think it's a solid franchise that uh, has gone too long without a new entry well, on the Xbox 360. So now it's handled on the Forza engine. Brand new team working on them, playful games. So it has potential. I want to know the gameplay, how it's gonna feel like as a player, as you're playing with the UI and everything, how the game is gonna roll. But I think it shows a lot of promise. Spectrum says I liked what that Side of Midnight looks. Also thought the Hellblade game and Fable looks great. Side of Midnight looked interesting artistically. Uh, would need to see more. Uh, Hellblade. I tried the first one, and personally, I'm not gonna try the second one. That game for me, I know a lot of people love Hellblade. I personally felt insulted just for trying this game. I thought it was dog shit. I'm sorry for anyone that I insult for who loved that game, but I thought it was horseshit. It's puzzles for. It's not puzzles that are asking for you to be intelligent, smart, or whatever. It's just trying to get you to look at a perspective, find the right angle, and to me, that's insulting my intelligence. To ask me to do that kind of stuff, it's like it was tedious. I hated it, and I ended up like one of the puzzle I finally solved. Like, okay, going at this place, seeing that perspective, I was like, there's not even anything to understand about it other than trying to find a perspective at a place where no, I hated it. I dropped the controller. It's like I'm never playing any game in that series again. Hellblade 2 might look as phenomenal as you want, which I think, yeah, the mocap looks good.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's pushing graphics like 200 on the facial while pulling out like there's no vegetation around, there's shadows like you don't see far. So yeah, it looks good. Not for me, and I'm not that impressed by the footage. But that's a personal thing. Uh, so we'll see once it comes out, but I won't be playing it. As for Fable, it looked great. Good graphics. So yeah, like a lot of people were saying it was fake, that it wasn't gameplay. I'm saying it's not gameplay, as in we're not seeing the actual gameplay, but I do feel like, yeah, once the game comes out, I have no doubt that the cinematic we've seen, the gameplay will look exactly the same. That's not my issue. It's just I want to see the gameplay for the gameplay's sake. So, do you still believe in PS5 VR2? Yeah, I still believe that it's a very solid platform. It's still a very niche market. Is it profitable? Possibly. Does it need to be profitable? In my opinion, it doesn't need to. It's adding value to the PS5. Even if it lost a bit of
Yeah.
money, having it on there is bringing more people to the ecosystem who will reach in the rest of the PS5 ecosystem. So even if the PSVR 2 is not profitable, just having it there is a plus for Sony, is a plus for the PlayStation ecosystem. So do I still believe in it? 100%. And there's a lot of games coming out on PSVR 2 right now. And I think it's doing fairly well. They confirmed over 600,000 units sold in 6 weeks, which is very strong numbers. So absolutely, PSVR 2 is a success in my opinion. And I don't even think it needs to be a success for the sake of it. It doesn't need to be profitable, it just need to exist, and it's adding value. So yeah, the art still looks good. Yeah. So all in all, Xbox Showcase was some good stuff. Some stuff I was like, yeah. PlayStation Showcase, people complain about the CGI trailers. I personally like CGI trailers, even though it's not showing me what the game looks like. It's showing me the direction they're taking. Concord, I'm super hyped for that because they did share a few details, like it's going to be a PvP title, service games, developed by a Firewalk studio that got acquired right before the showcase. So the game passed the quality title from Bungie. They confirmed that yes, it's good enough to be released. So we got a release window on that, and that trailer showed like, okay, the starship. It's gonna be like, it shows a bit of the theme of what the game is gonna build on, and it's keeping a bit of mystery. So I think it was perfect for that.
Yeah.
Spectrum says I'm not interested in playing it again, but did you see the Guilt is coming to PS and Xbox? Is it? I think it was. Was it released on PC or was it dead with Stadia? But if it's coming to PS and
I
Xbox, that's great news.
I know that Death Stranding's coming to
To
Mac.
Mac. Yup, natively. That's
Yeah.
gonna be a great
Well,
addition.
they got that nice little partnership with
Hideo
what's his
Kojima.
name? Yeah, I think people were shocked when he showed up, like he was actually there at the event showcasing this stuff, and I'm like,
It was just on Stadia. Okay.
I that's when I sent you those screenshots of the event, and I was like, look who's here.
Yeah, and what's your feeling about the Apple Vision Pro?
It's overpriced. I but I think that's just me because I want one. So of course it's going to be overpriced, but it's Apple, so I don't think it's considering it's an Apple VR, XR, AR, whatever the hell they want to call it. Considering it's a hardware device from Apple, it doesn't surprise me that the price is that like that because what's the Meta Pro or whatever the business quality one? It's a high end device, but if you look at like HTC and the Vives and all of these really heavy duty high end quality PC VR headsets. They're the same price. This is just it's Apple's version. I wish. Do I wish the price was lower? Yeah, so I could afford it. Would I love to have one? If I could afford it, I would buy it. But I can't. But I'm intrigued by it because I did see like right after that was announced. Shortly later, we saw the MetaQuest 3 was getting announced
Mm-hmm.
for like $500. So, it's interesting that was one thing I mean, people had been speculating Apple had been working on for like months and months. And but everyone was like, Apple would always say, we're not getting into VR. But it's interesting because you can do gaming on it as well now, from what I've seen. From the little bit of information that I watched, it looks intriguing. But then I also saw there was a company that had the exact same hardware specs for a different set of glasses that did the same thing and was like $300 on Amazon.
Yeah. So I've looked at it, and I think that they did a poor presentation of it. It looks phenomenal. I think the price is tiny bit higher than it should be, but it's justified. Now, here's
Yeah,
the thing. They showed it in a way that it looks like a certain product that it isn't. People now think it's only an AR headset. It's not. It's a VR headset with AR optimization implementations to it. The eyes that you're seeing when you're wearing the goggle is not actually eyes. It's a projection of eyes. It's not a see-through headset. You're just seeing your environment because it's filming and recreating your environment in your headset. So the headset you're talking about at $300 I saw, and that is 100% not a VR headset. It's an AR, basically doing a projection of screens around you. Where I didn't want to argue with anyone that was talking to me about that. It's like, yeah, if that's what you want, go ahead. But the Apple VR headset, it is a
yeah.
VR headset, by the way. It's not an AR headset. It's a VR with AR implementation in it. It will do that where you see your environment, and the fact that it'll do it in great quality like they've been showing is
I
impressive. But
yeah, that it I
here's
just
the
wish it
thing.
was
I'm
affordable.
not done explaining though.
Go
So
for it.
they've only shown part of what the device can do. They've only teased the AR part of it because I feel like that's the thing they put the most time working into and trying to implement to optimize the most, which is super hard to get. Now, you'll be able to bring a lot of stuff in your environment. The fact that you can have your MacBook on your table with a screen on and get the screen and throw it somewhere else. So you can have like a M2 Ultra in there, and you're just picking up the screen. So you have the big screen in front of you, and you still have the performance of that, but you also have your M1, M2 chip that's built inside of the VR headset, plus the R1 chip that's for the headset itself, like all the mechanic and all of that. So it's already has a lot of processing power to it, which is the amount is very impressive. Plus, you can use your computer seamlessly with it, which is also something else that's impressive. And my guess is that they haven't announced them yet, but there's going to
Yeah.
be actual VR games that go in there because you're not, when you're seeing the environment around you, you're not seeing the environment. You're seeing screens that are capturing images of the environment around you. It's not AR. That's what I mean. So it is 100% a VR headset. So like
Yeah.
No Man's Sky kind of teased that it was uh, it's something you had to read into, and they haven't fully finished that announcement yet. But they showed a red apple, and people was like, "What?" Then they showed a green apple. Then they showed the red and the green apple together, and then they showed the red apple again with the announcement that No Man's Sky was finally releasing natively on Mac. And we still yet have to see what the green apple is. I'm French. I'm French Canadian. French is my first language. And green in French is vert, VERT, which green apple, like pomme verte, but you can translate it basically if you mishmash the languages as Apple VR, basically. So it's coming to
Yeah.
Apple, to Mac, and they pretty much teased that they're also doing the Apple VR version as well in that tweet, which they have yet to announce. So
Yeah.
100% it's going
That.
to have VR games that are going to be implemented on it. They're just waiting for the green light from Apple. So, okay, yeah, it's going to get VR games. So that's one of the things people don't understand is that it will have actual VR applications and not just advanced reality. So that
Yeah.
$300 headset that you're seeing with just like the screens floating around is not going to compete with the Apple
Oh no,
Vision
no, it's
Pro.
not.
Not even remotely close. Not going to have the same software implementation for the Apple ecosystem. It's not going to have the 4K OLED panels that it has built in it. Will not have actual VR implementation. It's just AR that you're getting for that, which is cool and affordable.
Yeah.
But Apple has made their headset extremely expensive, which most components in it are actually made by Sony. Uh,
I know that was the best part of it all is the lenses that they used, or for the what you're
so
looking through. That's Sony's product.
the screens are made by Sony. The infrared eye tracker is made by Sony. It's using the same one as in the PSVR 2. Lenses are made by Sony. There's a few other parts, components. I think there's like 8 or 9 components in it, different components that are made by Sony. So a
Yeah.
lot of stuff in it. It's going to be shared with the PSVR 2. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it'll be hoping it comes down event, put a sale on it or something. But I want to see it in I want to see some people streaming it or showing it off so I can really see how it works.
Hmm.
And I know Doragon won't do that because he doesn't care for Apple either. So I
Well,
guess it will be up to me to spend a fortune and not tell my wife that I spent
because
$2,500 on a
what you're buying with that is a full fledged like computer. You have a full computer chip in there. It's not
Yeah.
just a headset. So
Right, which is why, like, I say that the price it's overpriced, but when you break it down and you realize what you're spending, you're essentially buying an Apple computer.
yeah,
So the price actually, if you look at it that way as an Apple computer, then it's justifiable that it costs that much
it's priced
because
high, but it's not overpriced.
no, and it's
They could
it's
lower the
Apple
price a bit.
price. Yeah, it would be nice, but it doesn't surprise me because this is Apple pricing. I
Hmm.
mean, you expect that for what you're going to get.
But I can definitely see some application like anyone working on the road that goes to hotels all the time. Like prop that on. You make your own office that you carry with you. You're set up. Okay, yeah, you have all your monitors. Can easily have a bring with you office, or if you work from home, but just have the living room that you can set up something. It'll be useful for certain people for doing those application. And there's multiple reasons why someone might be attracted to getting that devices and will get the value out of it. But yeah, if you're just trying to get VR headset and you're a average user, it's very possible that it might be overpriced for you. But
Yeah.
to some people, 100% it'll be worth it. So it's very. I thought it was a very interesting presentation, and I've seen a lot of reaction from people like just taking one part of the announcement and trying to say it's overpriced for that. It's like it's a device that's got a lot of facade to it, and we haven't seen everything about it. They've barely teased the device along with a price. Like they showed
Yeah.
some implementation of it, but they haven't showed everything. Like there's legit people who think that it's only an advanced reality device and that it doesn't do VR. I saw that as like that is even ridiculous to think that it's a VR headset. But anyway,
Yeah.
people draw a conclusion really quick and they just take whatever information they have and do whatever they want with it. There's more to it. You just look at the technical data. I know I like to uh, speculate a lot, but I happen to be right a lot of time. Just takes a while because we don't see that information until very close to when the device releases. But I've been right a lot of time on that kind of stuff where people would tell me I
Yeah.
was wrong. And believe me, the Apple VR headset has a lot more to offer than what Apple has shown yet because they barely announced it. I don't even think it's got a release date right now. So we're gonna know more in the future, but I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
people misjudged it because they haven't seen enough yet of it, and Apple will do a better job at selling it into the future. So, was there any news that we missed that we wanted to
I
talk
don't think
about?
so. I think we honestly caught up on everything. Old stuff, new stuff, recent stuff.
Yeah, we'll catch up some other time on
Still,
this.
yeah, stuff that's still going, making the rounds on Twitter.
Definitely, when I'll try to reset up my capture card and try to see if I can get it to work well. Once the PlayStation 5 cloud gaming releases, I'll do a stream to show it how it works, if it works well and all. Because if that's one of the things, if you do cloud gaming on a PS5, you're not able to do any capture from the onboard streaming platform.
Yeah,
It limits you.
which sucks.
It sucks. I kind of understand why. I believe the
Well, I do
networking.
too, but still, I do too,
For
but still,
one, I
I mean, it
think they
sucks.
don't want like if your streaming capacity is not so good to capture poorly captured
Like this guy
footage
right here.
and show oh that's how it looks. But also, I think that the network chip on the PS5 can get over because it's a very affordable system. So yeah, they have to limit some stuff. Now the network chip on it, if you're streaming the games, as in using cloud gaming and streaming to YouTube or Twitch at the same time, it might actually go over the capacity of what the network chip is able to do. So it might degrade
Yeah,
the quality of either your cloud or your stream or both of them. So I feel like that's part of the reason why they're limiting some stuff on it if you're using cloud gaming.
yeah,
So I'll most likely set up my capture card and stream the PS5, streaming PS5 games to show the quality as much as possible in live stream. Once that goes live, I'm very excited for this, and I'm pretty sure it's going to look fantastic because up to now, like I've been saying, PlayStation streaming for PS4 titles for me In terms of consistency of the stream, is very similar to GFN. Looks like I'm playing local. It looks phenomenal. Okay, it's PS4 quality games. It's not the same like as a 4080 GPU that's in the cloud, but it still looks phenomenal. Very minimal latency, very sharp graphics. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the upgrade to the PS5 blades and what's coming in the future. So on this event, where can we find you?
Well, you guys can find me Vet Gaming on YouTube, Vet's Cozy Gaming on YouTube, Vet Gaming. I would just say go to my Twitter. It's Vet's Cozy Gaming on Twitter. That's got my links. Or if you're in my Discord, or if you're already subscribed to me, I'll have to figure a way to get promote all my stuff because my primary YouTube channel has been rebranded. I have a new secondary channel called Bet Gaming, which handles my Ubisoft partner games and all my other violent games where I can quench my bloodthirsty appetite for slaughtering the innocent. Um, those that know me know those were my favorites. I love you, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Um,
Oh, speaking
and
of
what else?
just before speaking of Ubisoft violence, apparently on June 21st, so that is Wednesday. Yeah, X Defiant apparently is starting the open session, the open beta.
I actually got an email that I could potentially load it up on the 20th, so I may be doing some of that as well. Even though I hate the game because it reminds me of every other shooting game that I'm terrible at, I will still play it and still have fun and still rage out and cuss and scream and all that. But on the side note, also another side note, I played Odyssey earlier. I was testing it out on Twitch, and I climbed up on a mountain on the rocks where I was at when I played Odyssey, a torch, and there was at least 15 people, NPCs, just standing there. And with one swipe of my wrist, I set every single one of them on fire.
Wow.
And I was like, man, it feels good sometimes to let that rage out. It was like I should have clipped it because that would have been like that's the old vet of yesterday that has fun with that. But that's you guys can find me there. I have a new Twitch channel as well. And the only reason I have Twitch, obviously, I know there's all the controversy with all the big streamers leaving, which yay, that's good for me, right? Because I'm a small streamer. So get rid of all the big guys. That's going to leave us little ones, guys there left. But I have that specifically for when I do certain Ubisoft games that have the Twitch drops enabled because there's nowhere else to do drops. I mean, YouTube doesn't have that ability. I honestly don't think they ever will because they don't really seem to care a whole lot about live streaming yet. I think it's going to change. They're starting to. But anyways, I'm rambling. You guys can find me, like I said, Vet's Cozy Gaming on Twitter, also on YouTube, and then it's Vet Gaming, I think, on Twitter or YouTube as well. That's my other channel. Yeah, Bet Gaming hyphen Ubi, and then on Twitch as well. So just follow me on the socials. I post stuff. If you happen to be in the Discord, you're there. If you were a member of my old channels, you're still a member unless you unsubscribe. In which case, we have some you have some splaining to do. But that's about it.
Awesome. So as for
So
me, I already have X Defiant installed on my PS5, so definitely I'll be giving that a spin. And Final Fantasy 16 coming out on Thursday. I already have Friday off from work to play that all day. So I'm really psyched about this. Game is looking fantastic. Uh, yeah. Other than that, keep an eye on my social on Twitter, Dr. Spaceman Games for any updates. And thanks for joining everyone tonight. By the way, so Spectrum, Ron, Nito, Roger, mostly Martinez, and Rudigs was there earlier as well. Ron
Maker,
Maker. Thanks a
we had a
lot,
good
everyone.
we
Hmm?
had a good chat. We had a good chat. That was the chat was rolling for a while.
Yeah, we'll build back up. It's been going down lately, but we'll build back up. Some incidents happen, so
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, whatever. So thanks a lot, everyone, for joining. It was a lot of fun. Great conversation. Thanks again for coming, Vet. Great
Yep,
having you
not a
back.
problem. Yeah, it's good to kind of get back in the swing of things.
So on this, have a good night, everyone.
See you guys.